All right, we're going to talk about one of the most popular movements to do once cadets have mastered kind of the continuous left-handed spin. Everyone wants to know, how do I do a two-handed continuous spin? Now, there are about as many variations of this movement as you can think of. There are the one that we're going to learn, right? Nice and smooth. We can take that hand, we can drop it underneath instead of going on top. We can go top, top, bottom, bottom, top, top, bottom, bottom. There are a bunch of different ways. We can even do it in reverse, kind of using the same motion, but going in reverse and continuing the momentum of the rifle. But the one that we're going to learn is kind of the fundamental foundational one that I recommend everybody learn when they start to learn two-handed continuous spins. It's the one that's going to allow us to have the most control. It's also the one that's going to open up the most doors for us. In other words, by learning this technique, we're going to start to understand how to do more advanced techniques, and we're going to use something that we probably haven't used yet, which is constant contact with the rifle. So, before we get started, there are basically three things that we want to keep in mind. One is the balance point on the rifle, and the balance point for this particular maneuver is on the metal of the receiver. A little bit different than what we've talked about being at the exact balance point one. We're not up here at all. We are almost always making contact with the receiver, the metal portion of the rifle. Number two, this relies on the thumb of the right hand. In other words, the momentum that we generate is going to cause the rifle to roll over the thumb so that it's almost in constant contact as it comes around and completes the spin. And number three, the left hand is going to be incredibly important. We are always going to be above the right hand when we hand the rifle from right to left. So, how do we do this? How do we get this mechanic? The thumb roll and the balance point on the right hand is the first thing we have to learn. So all I'd recommend that we do is start with the rifle. Butt plate to the left, barrel to the right, sling facing up. And we're going to take our right hand, we're going to take it into that C shape, and we're going to grasp the inside of that rifle, right? Not the top, certainly not the bottom, it'd be awkward. We're going to go with the inside of the rifle. The thumb is going to find its home exactly where the metal of the receiver meets the plastic of the stock. You're going to find that it kind of sits in that groove. Our fingers are going to wrap around. So this is our starting position right here. From this position, we're going to learn how to roll the rifle off of our thumb. And the easiest way to kind of do this is to use your other hand, give it a little bit of momentum, push it back and forth, and you can start to feel how this balance point right here is an ideal place. In fact, as the butt plate of the rifle comes down, it wants to continue the motion. The only thing that's stopping it is our grasp on the rifle. So again, we don't have to push very hard to see that if we leave our forearm in the same place approximately, we're going to have a nice good rotation point off of that right thumb. The next thing I would encourage us to do, again pushing the butt plate of the rifle at a speed that we can manage, is simply allow the rifle to roll off that thumb and let that rifle complete just like a quarter of a spin. Just let it kind of fall off that thumb and then re-grab the rifle. It's important that we learn how this feels, because there's a moment when the rifle is suspended on the top of the thumb, the inside edge, and that moment can be kind of challenging or different for people that haven't used a technique like this before. So we're just going to get comfortable with that. After we get comfortable with that, we're going to increase the amount of speed and therefore the rotation of the rifle, and we're going to try to allow the rifle to rotate off the thumb until we do a full rotation off the right hand. And in fact, what we're learning here, again pushing up and allowing the rifle to come around until the handguard is facing to the right and the barrel is facing up, what we're learning here is how much arm, wrist, and elbow involvement we need to allow the rifle to complete that one rotation. So play around with that. Play around with how much we can squeeze the elbow into the body, how much momentum, like we're turning a doorknob, how much do we do that? How much involvement does our forearm have in terms of the tension? And when we do that, can we get the rifle to come all the way around until we're grabbing it on the upper handguard? Once we have that down, we're ready to talk about this hand. The left hand, as I said before, is incredibly important. We're going to start with both hands grasping the rifle. Right hand in the position we discussed. The left hand also on the inside with the thumb in the area where the receiver and the bolt handle meet. So where it enters at the top right here, that's where our thumb is going to be on the left hand as we hold the rifle. We are going to push down And we're going to allow the rifle to do that full rotation. And when we do that, as soon as it leaves both of our hands, as soon as it leaves the left hand in particular, we're going to turn that left hand up like someone owes us money, put it right on top of the right hand, and attempt to roll the rifle up into the hand. Now, notice I didn't say toss the rifle up or let the rifle fall into the hand. The trick here, and this could be a strength thing, so we may need to work up to this, use a lighter rifle to understand the mechanics. Whatever it might be, we need to make sure that we are rolling the rifle up into the left hand. And when we do that, we're looking for the sling to make contact with our hand. When we get started, we might find ourselves grabbing the upper handguard. We want to make sure, again, that we go back to that motion of how do I get that rifle all the way around, because when we go to receive that rifle, the sling is going to be in our hand. Our thumb is going to be near to that point where the bolt handle enters into the receiver, and we're going to turn the rifle around, re-grasp, and repeat that process. Grab, hand come up, roll off the thumb into the hand, and repeat. As we continue to build this mechanic, what we want to avoid is we want to avoid having our forearms high. When our forearms are high, it becomes very awkward and even unsafe to put the right hand above the left. We also want to be very keenly aware that our left hand is not accidentally dropping to the side or dropping down, both of which will add air time between our hands. When we remove the left hand and take it away from the close centered position, we're allowing that rifle to toss up, meaning that we're going to learn something that maybe isn't going to help us, especially when we want to go smoother and quicker. We want to really minimize that downtime, and it's almost like the rifle is barely finishing that rotation before our hand makes it onto it, and we continue that motion. Once we have this mechanic down, as you can see, there's almost no air time between the hands. This allows us to do things like skip, add rotations or aerials in between our continuous spins. It allows us to be very smooth and go very quickly, and it opens the doors to many more skills. So that's the way that we'd recommend that you learn continuous spins. Again, learning about that thumb roll mechanic as opposed to a toss the rifle up mechanic. We want that smooth, nice quality of almost noiseless contact with the rifle, and that is our two-handed spin tutorial.